Okay, so the first thing we're dealing with here is obviously crowded, congested space in Beverley. Lots of shoppers, lots of bags, children in prams, balloons, waving hands. At one point earlier, before this, a guy had just bent over and touched her head, despite telling him not to do it. He just walked off. Fortunately, you get that a lot with particularly blokes. So what we do here, we build up for this kind of session with dogs. There's a guy falling over here, tripping up. Very sorry about that, my friend. She just decided to want to trip him up. But we're going for the crowd. So you've got a knight there with a sword, and he's got a helmet on. Now, traditional protection dog, working dog may well be triggered by that sight of that sword. Lose their head, barking like crazy. You can see Roxy's acknowledged. She's looked, she's seen where he's at with that sword, making sure that I'm safe and secure. But she's got to focus on me, and she's continuing to work obedience as we work our way through the Puppet Festival. We can see the dinosaur in the background there. You can see the shaking. Okay, so that's typical of a really high drive Belgian Shepherd. She's aware that there's a threat there. She's ready. Her adrenaline's starting to pump just in case he decides he wants to turn around and slot me with that sword. However, she's keeping her focus on me. I'm continuing to deliver rewards and train and reinforce the good behaviour that she's showing here. Okay, so she's keeping her eye. There's a sword next to me, a couple of foot away. I'm going to move her away just a little bit there to create some space and continue to work her obedience. She's just on a flat collar here. That's it. Okay, so she's done well there with the guy on the sword. We're going to now work our way up to the giant dinosaur. Now, I've not had Roxy around a giant dinosaur before. I didn't know how she'd get on. She got on quite well. Her tail at one point whacked me in the head, the long tail. But she's showing, again, her focus is really well. This is why these street sessions that we deliver are super important. We build up to a Saturday in Beverley. There's often events like this, and we like not just our working dogs, but our clients' pet dogs to be spot on, working really good obedience in situations like this. If your dog can work obediently in an area of distraction like this, then they'll do almost anything. You can see now we're right under the tail of the dinosaur. She's producing some good trial style obedience, doing some walking downs and things like that. I'm just rewarding her at this point mostly with food. Okay, so I've just sped the video up there. Again, she's keeping her eye on her back. She's seeing her and about. She is a working protection dog at the end of the day, so she's always going to be watching my back and watching my family's back. But as you can see, she's just on a flat collar there. She would quite happily work off lead. I'd be totally comfortable that she wouldn't break and she wouldn't go over to the dinosaur. However, there is a lot of people about. They might not like it. Just a quick edit down as we're into the side street. She wanted to do a quick orbit there. She does love doing that trick, and why not? So we've got a kid walking up, just about to walk past and wave basically a bag of sausage rolls right near her face, and she ignores it. I was really happy with that. That was a big test. Roxy's definitely food is one thing that I'll often get her moving. Sometimes not in the way that I'd like. We do quite a bit of work with her around control, around food. Her food drive is that high. You can see her tail going crazy there. She's loving this. Her nervous system's absolutely firing. It's something you see a lot in super high drive dogs like Roxy. People think this is easy for a dog because of a high drive. Actually, it makes it a whole lot more difficult because you've got to direct that drive. They tend to want to go off and do their own thing. So many distractions, so many things that can put a switch of prey drive on, or potentially a defence or fight drive. Because there was a guy who'd earlier on Flemingate decided he was just going to come up, walk past her and tap her on the head. Unfortunately, there's plenty of morons about like that. We don't mind people coming up asking if they can stroke the dogs, and often we'll let them, unless we're in the middle of training. Unfortunately, it's particularly a tendency around blokes who think they've got a right to come up and touch a dog, especially if they've had a beer or two. But yeah, she's doing really well. We're working away from that particular puppet and heading towards some other puppets further down the street. So we're just doing some general obedience at this point, working between the super busy areas. And this is still the busy area. But for Roxy, this is bread and butter. We get her in this kind of environment as often as possible. We do it with all of our dogs. You know, there's no point having a protection dog if you can't walk around, you know, an environment like this. For me, you can't walk around an environment like this with the dog off lead as well. And I'm not doing it here because it's just too busy. It's going to upset some people. You'll have seen us doing it before. A lot of people don't like it. It upsets a lot of Karens. Now, with just a quick edit, see this reindeer. She sat watching. She's still keeping a focus on me. She's watching it because it's unusual, just in the same way we're watching it. I mean, she's never seen a giant reindeer before, and I don't think I've ever seen a giant reindeer. So she's interested, but she's ready to work. She's watching me. She's looking back for instructions, and she's keeping her cool and she's keeping her head. So she's going to move around now back and start following that giant reindeer. I want to be working around, seeing how she gets on, working directly behind it. The movement, if something's going to trigger a reaction and a prey drive, is that moving away. You can see that leg kicking out there. She's still really keeping her focus, doing some fairly complex behaviours for me. This is why, again, just to keep stressing why we do so much of the behaviour in environments like this. We do bits of training in quiet fields, but at the end of the day, if the dog can't prove the behaviour in this environment, then, you know, for us the dog's no good. We want to see this done in environments like this. Roxy, she's just got that flat collar on. That's it. There's no prong. There's no e-collar. We do use e-collars in training. However, for a dog of Roxy's age, if we're having to walk around on an e-collar in an environment like this, something's gone wrong in training, or something's wrong genetically. Probably the first thing, the training. You know, this is what we want to work towards. With any dog, is being able to do this off lead. But again, we're not going to do it off lead in this environment. I'm just going to show respect for people in the area. Because of just how busy it is and with the puppet show on. So yeah, just carry on working behind that reindeer. I think she's doing really fantastically well. I think, you know, all of the dogs we work at Arch Canine are all capable of doing this. Roxy's the one you'll see the most. She's my most popular dog. But we do it with them all, and we do it with clients' dogs, and this is why we like the street sessions, and we encourage everyone to get their dogs training like this. You'll see us with these videos. We've done some short edits in this video, obviously cutting out the boring bits when people have kind of stopped us and spoke to us. But what you won't see is short 10-second snippets, like you'll see, unfortunately, with a lot of dog trainers. I'll just say, you know, get your trainers to prove what are their dogs like, particularly a protection dog. But any dog should be capable of this, but more so a protection dog. Because if a protection dog's going to lose their head in this kind of environment, they're no good in this environment. And if you can't take them to this environment, they're not a good protection dog. You know, I want my dogs to be able to come to a place like this where I've got my children and know that they're going to protect my children and watch the back, yet be level-headed and then behave in this kind of environment. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. We do our street sessions all over Beverley, regularly every Friday, and in Hull. This is what we work towards, and we want for every single dog to be able to do this, to enjoy your dog in this kind of environment.